Now Jim, we're on the Octagon in Westport.
Yes,
You're a Westport man.
I am.
And where were you born?
I was born in the village of Napa, about 3 miles from Westport off the Leenan Road.
And where did you go to school?
I went to a school that was known as Forna National School. In actual fact it was Napa School because it was inside the stream, and different townlands are divided by streams in those times.
Okay. And who taught you there?
Well, I was taught by, first of all, Madge Heresy. She was from Carabon. She was an aunt to Michael Flanagan's now, actually. And I was there until I went to 3rd class. And then I went upstairs to Mrs. Moan. Mrs. Moan was from Carabon. And I went upstairs to her from 4th on to 7th class. Mrs. Moan her husband was a TD for a while. Her name, she was Bridget Considine from Clare.
Yeah, go on.
A wonderful teacher. If you were willing to take it, she was willing to give it. And I was there, as I say, until I was going into 7th class. Well, those on 6th. And she said, James, they called me James in those times, she said, I cannot teach you anymore. Talk to your mother and tell her, send you into the Christian Brothers in Westport. And Jimmy Hughes, who was a famous teacher, Lord to mercy on him, in the Christian Brothers here at that time. But in those days, the child had no say.
Yeah.
And my father had another idea to go back to Feenon. He was a native of Feenon, my father. And his brother was there living on his own, an old man, and he wanted me to go back to him. As I said, the child had no say in those times. When my lad was going to school and he had got a good intercert, and he said, Dad, I don't want to go to school anymore, and he didn't. But we had no say. Dad and Mum made the decisions, and that was it. Yes. So I was brought into Westport, and at that particular time, Jordan in Carniska, Anthony Jordan, had a truck on the road, and he'd been in Westport for stuff. So he asked the driver, who was Mike Jennings off the Castlebar Road at the time, the Lord to mercy on him. He moved to Westport later, and I got back with him. Now, it was a big change to leave Napa and my parents and sister, I've only one sister, and to leave them and to go living, if you like, with an old man.
Was he related?
He was my uncle.
Your uncle, okay.
My uncle.
Was he single? Or married?
He had been married, but his wife had died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No family?
No family.
Okay.
So he was there on his own, and started work until the time of the year in May, cutting turf and all that went with it. And then I was there for about 2 years. And yeah, about 2 years, and I got sick. And Dr. O'Toole, Lord to mercy on the man, he was a native of Louisburg, and he was in Donegal after, and he came out to see me at Ploddersay, whatever I had, and he said, contact your mother, he said, to take you home. And she did.
Yeah.
And when I was well, I said, never again, that's it, no back.
And what age were you then?
I was 16 years.
16 years, yeah.
16 years.
So you didn't go back?
No.
Where'd you go then?
I got a job with Tommy Rose, agricultural contractor. That's father of Joseph now, and you know the Rose family.
Yep.
And I got a job with him on a tractor, and all that went with it, thrashers and ploughing and mowing, binding, reseeding, what have you. And I spent a few years there. And then, like all young fellas, I suppose, talking at night and meeting, going to England. There was great money to be made in England.
Yeah.
This was the story, you know. So, on the 19th of June, in 1951, I headed for England. There were 2 friends with me from Letcherbrook, they were natives. So, I headed for the hay and the harvest fields of Lancashire and South Norfolk, South Yorkshire, and got a job at £32 a week.
And what were you getting at home that time?
about 350 or something, like, 310 or something like
That
that.
was a huge increase. 10
And,
times, yeah.
Yeah, and along with that, my meals, and of course I had the best landlady, the farmer's wife, that anybody could have. My clothes were left in fresh to my room on Saturday night. And that didn't happen with Irish people at that particular time. You know, they might be sleeping on the hill after, whatever, you know.
And were there many people on the farm that you were on?
No, there was a head cowman and myself. There was casual labour that would come in the evening, or maybe for a few days, you know, if the weather was fine, haymaking.
Okay.
The days were very long. I remember.
And were you operating the machinery there and all that kind of stuff?
No, there was no machinery.
No machinery. It's all hand.
It was all horses.
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 Okay.
There was no machinery.
And
But
what
there was for I left.
What did you use the horses for?
Mowing and with mowing machines, you know, the old way.
And were you ploughing?
No, it wasn't.
No ploughing.
It was all dairy farm, like hay and cows and milk and all that kind of
Okay,
thing.
yeah.
About 80 acres or whatever. And I used to, when the hay was finished, I'd go down to Ormskirk to the harvest. That's the oats or whatever, wheat, barley. And then I went down to Southport for getting the potatoes, maybe to Lincoln to the beat, and returning home in the month of December for the winter. And the same circle again, go in June, same thing. And then that continued on for a few years, and I moved down to the Midlands to Coventry, and I worked there on the buildings. And from the buildings I went into Ford's Motor Factory at Leamington Spa, about 10 miles from Coventry. And I was there when I got word from my mother that my father had gone into hospital and his kidneys had failed. And I came back to where I was staying, and I thought to myself, well, they looked after me when I was young. I was starting to do well in Britain. And I said, they looked after me, so here goes. So I came home and minded them for about 3 years. And that was it. I never went back.
And what age were you then? No?
Roughly.
Roughly 30. Okay, right.
Well, I wasn't, about 28, yeah.
And when you were in England now, did you save money?
I did.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, when I was in Lancashire, there was the first month, right? You got paid every month. You got your £32 at the end of the month. And what happened was, the first month it rained straight through, we couldn't do anything with hay. And he said, will you stay the second month? He did. But he paid me for my first month.
Good.
What did I do? I wired every cent home because I knew they hadn't it.
Well, that was
Because I
nice,
was
yeah.
leaving here when things weren't great. You know, we were there's no question about it, there was no money. I'll be quite honest with you. And stayed for the second month and got my money again. And I bought a pair of shoes out the second month, right?
How much did it cost you?
£2.50. £2.10.
£2.10.
£2.10.
Oh, dear enough then, wasn't it?
Wasn't it?
Wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, it was a good
But you
chunk.
get a lovely suit at the 50 shilling tailors for 50 shillings.
50 shillings.
£2, 10 shillings.
Off the peg.
Yes, off the pay.
Off the pay.
Beautiful suit.
Okay. And tell me this, when you were out in Louisburg and that, as a young fella, how did you pass the time? Was there much play at that time, or was it all work? Or?
It was all work.
All
Come
work.
in home tired, and that was it. You know.
And did you go to the pictures or go for a dance?
Oh
or?
God, no. There was a dance hall, but I was too young to dance or anything like that. They wouldn't dance with me probably between 14 and 16.
No, no, they wouldn't. You wouldn't be. You wouldn't be let in.
No.
You wouldn't be- And when you went to England, how did you pass the time?
No, I didn't go out. No,
I
couldn't go out because I had no friend. I was the only Irishman there.
Oh my God!
And I had no pals, like, you know, until I went down to Coventry. But when I was with fishers, like, you know, you'd be outside in the shippings, as they call it. That's where the cows are kept,
Yeah.
talking and that sort of thing. And Mrs. Fisher called us to our supper. I went in and went into I was living in a cottage beside the main farmhouse. And went into the cottage, and that was it. I was tired. We were up at 5:15 to milk, you know.
Okay.
I used to give them a hand milk.
And when you came home, then what did you do? Farming?
Back to small farm.
You have your own farm, yeah.
Yes, right. And but it's a long story to be another story, you know.
But the other question I want to ask you: when you went to England, was it much different than from home?
It was different. It was different. I'll tell you. Well, the first night it's strange what happens, you know. And the two lads that were with me, we got into Blackburn, and that was the area for the hay. And we got into Blackburn, and we said 3 was too much going up to a farmer's door, so we'd separate. So of course they were 2 friends, and they stayed together.
Mm-hmm.
So right, here's where the saggy came in. He had told me when he hired me, he said, we'll start next Wednesday. I was there on a Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
And he said, we'll start next Wednesday. Hoeing turnips or something like that. But anyway, the 2 decided to go to Coventry. And I'll tell you, I was lonesome. I was on my own. And got the train in Blackburn and went as far as Preston to go to Coventry. On the way I considered, where am I going, sure? I wonder where they're gone now. Came off in Preston. I couldn't get my fare back, but they did send it to me months after, you know.
Yeah.
Back to Blackburn again, out to the farm, and he was standing at the gate after milking. I can see him yet. He was a lovely man and his family.
Mm-hmm.
And he was standing at the gate leaning like this, and this isn't Wednesday, and they don't say you know, the nose. This is Wednesday,
yeah, no.
But I said, no, but if you wanted to do the Wednesday, don't cost you anything. Well, he said, my wife's in hospital now, he said, and the cottage isn't just ready.
Mm.
But he said, we'll fix it up. But to make a long story short, I went in the cottage. He brought in a mug of tea, and I suppose you worked in England, you'd know about a jam bushy or a bacon bushy.
That's right, yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
And he left it on the table beside me. And I wakened at 10:30 the following morning on the chair without ever touching it.
You were tired of it.
Oh,
You were tired, yeah.
tired.
So you came back to home to farm, and what did you do after that then?
Well, between farm and then, you see, I went to the post office. I was on the switchboard in the post office.
Oh, okay.
The switchboard in the post office.
In Westport?
In Westport. And, of course, I was doing the mail, that they call it the mail van, but that's another story we'll do later. The mail van from Westport to run for Jack and Patricia Gannon. That's how I went to Ashland first.
Oh, okay.
And I was doing the Sunday morning papers for 22 years between Castlebar and Killadoon.
And where were you collecting them?
In right on the footpath outside where Heaton's are now.
That's where you collected them?
Yeah.
And then you...
But kicked out on the footpath there to you from a Dublin truck.
And so you had to distribute them to all the shops?
Started the TF in those times.
Mm-hmm.
There was a shop on the side of the road, Fitzgerald's, on the way from Castlebar.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, start at McGreevy's. There wasn't as many shops in town then getting them. You start at McGreevy's and up the street to O'Grady's, across to McLaughlin's, down the other side to Dyer's, and there was another man down the middle of the street on the right. I forget him now.
Yeah.
And then straight down to Mina, Fahy and Mina. Up again, cross over, went to Mina first and cross over to Fahy.
And who was selling them in Fahy?
At the church.
At the church?
Cusick's.
Cusick, that's right, Cusick, there is Cusick, yeah. And who was selling them in Mina?
Mrs. Duffy and Mina.
Mrs. Duffy, okay.
Right? Beside the church as well. Up the road, in those times I had a run out to as far as Mare Luke's and Tourmacady. Mare Luke's.
That's right.
Tools and Tourmacady first and up to Mare Luke. And back again, out to Drummond. Came back and crossed over to Carrickendy or to Cushla.
Who was selling them there?
The shop at the time.
Oh, the
Joe
pub.
Welch.
Yeah, Joe Welch, yeah.
You remember him?
I do.
He was selling them there, and the shop in Drummond, Chris Friel was selling them, and later the Lord of Mercy and Tom McGovern outside the church
Okay.
on Sunday. Then they had to go, start off again, and back, Kilcoynes, the Kilsala, they got them. They weren't in Morris, no. Kilcoynes, Kilsala, on into Louisburg. There was 2 old ladies there. They weren't old ladies. They were sisters of Father O'Malley. That was here, if you remember him.
I do, yeah.
And off out to Killadoon.
And who was in Killadoon?
Mrs. Kilcoyne.
Yeah, okay.
She was my second cousin. It happens as it happened. So that was it. And I said, Get up at 5 in the morning, hit for Castlebar, maybe it's shiny with frost. And you might be waiting 2 hours in Castlebar, the truck wouldn't get in. If they didn't get out of Dublin before the discos came out and that, they wouldn't be in Castlebar on time.
That time not every shop could sell papers. They had to be approved.